Welcome. Program activated. Synchronizing. Please enter your username. Username accepted.
These were gardens. Maybe. Would have been nice to see this place in its prime. Doubt anyone here's interested in tending to flowers.
Crush the city down the As you'll see, I did 0 damage taken. I've done the whole trial, like every single room with 0 damage taken. But I didn't do a video that time, and it's just so hard to recapture that because inevitably some nonsense might happen where I just take a sliver of damage. And I don't want to do that series until I actually... I'll try, every time I do the trial, I'm going to try and like do a video it again, hoping I don't take any damage throughout the entire trial, which is entirely possible. It's just sometimes it's like, it was impossible to avoid. Particularly the final arbiter, because he'll always sometimes just take a sliver of my health at the very beginning if I don't stack my shield as quickly. And then if he ever does get to the axe phase, well then I'm definitely taking damage. It's the only time that activates. But that's why I still have my pistols that you see. So the last thing to get on this build would be to get another skill leech and status power buff on my leg armor. Specifically and mostly for the Boulderlings pistols. Because, Firestorm doubly heals you. Every damage over time mod, as I've said a million times, heals you based off your weapon leech stats. Which is why Till Death Do Us Part heals you twice, because it's healing you off the effect, and the damage over time effect also heals you. Firestorm doubly heals you because of the damage over time, and the burn, healing based off your skill leech. And then Sandstorm also heals you, based off your weapon leech. So... if you ever want to, really the only time I would ever use those pistols is for the Arbiters, and maybe if you're doing like Eye of the Storm and you're carrying 2 players, so it's taking a while to do it, and there's a million of anomaly rifts, then you might have to start using your pistols to make sure your health's also getting topped off for the times that the anomaly rifts might break it. Although, to be honest, this guy is actually good at destroying the anomaly rifts too because of aggressive teleportation spamming, so... you could just go over there and your, like, Moaning Winds combined with Borrowed Time, Aggressive Teleportation are good Anomaly Rift killer things, if you don't know, so you could actually still do that if you want. But obviously I like to just tank it out to prove I can. And I've done Eye of the Storm with a ton of Anomaly Rifts and still take 0 damage because of the shield regen and resistance he still stacks on him. However, he doesn't have max resistance, and that's the only reason that carrying players you might find you suddenly take, your shields break too during Eye of the Storm if there's like a million rifts hitting you at the same time. Then you might have to, I might switch to my pistols and just keep them out, while still, of course, using my Temporal Blade and all that stuff, and my damage won't suffer that much. That's the good thing about this build, is the damage really doesn't suffer much anyway doing that, since most of it is from aggressive teleportation and temporal blade combo, and then the Venator's Knife buffing everything, including that stuff. So that's really how it does most of its damage. But I still like to use Nicola's Revenge Damascus Offering you've seen because it just fits the Trickster again. I like all my Trickster builds you've seen. They all are kind of like a version of a lightning build in some way. Now, I have my total lightning build Trickster that you've seen. My not Temporal Blade. My, what's that set called? Terminal, I was thinking too, it also has a pretty cool name. Yeah, Terminal Velocity. My Terminal Velocity build Trickster is like my ultimate lightning build Trickster, where everything is lightning-based animation. However, all my other Trickster builds have some variation of lightning too attached to them, because they're all using lightning mods on their guns, and then the Trickster effects just kind of utter like lightning. Some, like obviously almost all of them use aggressive teleportation spamming too, and then just some of the Trickster effects, like I said, the Phantom Dash on some of them, all those blue, like I noticed they all leave like sparks constantly, so it always feels like a hybrid lightning build on Tricksters no matter what you do. And so I kind of like to capitalize on that some just for my own personal preference. So that's really the main reason I use the Damascus Offering for my primary. But the big thing, the big 2 guns you definitely want to get if you make this build is the triple reload gun, the Moaning Winds gun, to just have another mass AoE. Another thing that also can benefit from Venator's Knife, because the thing about Venator's Knife is the double damage activates off the first damage that hits the enemy. So this isn't a gun build, for instance, but if I shoot them, the bullet from my gun that's doing no damage is going to get activated by Venator's Knife, and therefore the debuff does nothing, pretty much. So you have to remember that. It's like, that's why I try to avoid shooting sometimes just deliberately. But I also know it's like, even if, I don't get my Venator's Knife double damage off the guy I'm actually targeting, at least enemies around him will almost always get it, because the Nicola's Revenge then damage will trigger it too, the Temporal Blade, the aggressive teleportation. That's also why I like this build, is just, it fits with Venator's Knife too, because he has so many means of activating the double damage from Venator's Knife without it having to be his gun doing no damage with his gun, so that's why it's really good for that. I really like this build, and then obviously the meta Trickster build, where you just max out your gun damage on like a pump shotgun with Meticulous Schemer. Obviously, I don't need to say that, of course, can be perfect with Venator's Knife debuff. But I'm just saying this build's actually not too bad with it either. But yeah, taking 0 damage. That's always the goal on my Trickster tank builds. And this guy is probably the best at it. Well, other than my pure tank Trickster, which I'll probably show eventually if I haven't already. At least recently. I have definitely shown him, but I don't think recently. And he's just the pure middle tree, pure max health shield, pure tank Trickster. No anomaly or firepower whatsoever. And he actually clears rooms faster than this guy does. That's the sad thing. Now, this guy at least kills the Arbiters faster than him. Like, my pure tank Trickster is the worst for killing the Arbiters for sure, although he can still do it. So at least this guy has that on him, but it's still not that great at killing bosses. But again, it's more for fun. And it's probably one of the better team sport ones, just because of all 3 skills having low cooldown, spamming them constantly. So my phasing shield buff on allies is just constant on this guy from all 3 skills too. Like, that's just constantly stacking shield on everybody. So that's also why I like him too. He's like the best kind of team support version of a Trickster I could see, which obviously there aren't many of those, because that's not really what a Trickster's meant for. But again, I just like doing different things for fun, deliberately, and always making them tanks. So anyway, I should probably end this video now. I'm trying to think, was there anything else I need to comment on this guy? Yeah, like the last thing this build needs is just the status, power, and skill each buff on his leg armor, which will further increase Venator's Knife healing. That's the good thing. Even if my shield breaks and I'm not using my pistols, Venator's Knife, just because of my anomaly power buff with the high skill leech stat, it's still enough that he'll heal. Like, I've actually tested it where I go down to red health deliberately, and then I use Venator's Knife, and 1 Venator Knife use gets me from red health to full. I'm not kidding. Now, it's not instant. It's not like I'm healing super fast like a Techno does, or a Dev Bleed build would, where you just heal from red to full like that, like literally that fast, to snap of your fingers. It still takes, I'm trying to remember, I think it took like maybe 2 or 3 seconds to heal back to full. That's still pretty quick, and also the fact that it just took 1 Venator's Knife to still go all the way up. And the thing about it is my shield is stacking over my health. So Venator's Knife's also healing my shield with my health, like everything. So it's really a double heal if you think about it. So yeah, that's the good thing about it is, and again, I've done it in Eye of the Storm, or even in Eye of the Storm, if I'm carrying people and my shield gets breached, I still will just stay with Nicola's Revenge and just let Venator's Knife heal my health in between, which it still does just fine. But the Boulderling pistols are just there to like really just, because the Boulderling pistols, when you shoot once, it will go from red health to green to full within, still not as fast as my best Techno builds, but still very, very quick. Like, then it is like no more than 1 second, I think, from red to max. Because again, you're just getting healed by triply from the weapon leech combined with the skill leech. And since he still has good anomaly damage, like decent anomaly damage, which is all you need, the burn from Firestorm is still going to heal me a good amount. So that's also why he's just able to heal a ridiculous amount off those pistols. It's the key to be ultimate tank mode when you want it to be. But yeah, he pretty much never takes damage anyway.